Hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. My name is Kelly and I'm a former wedding planner and blogger, and I'm obsessed with weddings. If you're planning a wedding in Ireland, you're in the right place. You're going to learn the tried and tested methods to planning your dream wedding without the added stress. Think of this as your one-stop shop for everything to do with planning your wedding in Ireland. With me, your new wedding planning bestie, and a cup of tea. This is Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. Well, hello and welcome to a new episode of Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. We're starting a new series today all about choosing different suppliers for your big day, and we're kicking off with a big one because we're talking all about how to choose your wedding venue. Now, your wedding venue it's one of the biggest decisions that you're going to make when you're planning your wedding, because your wedding venue is obviously where you're going to host the celebrations, whether or not you're, exchanging your vows at the same place that you're going to have the dinner, reception, and the party and everything. That's a separate conversation. But having the place where you're going to host the celebration, being able to nail down your date, and also influencing your theme and what the look of your wedding will be like, those are some of the key reasons why picking your wedding venue is kind of a big deal. So I'm going to help you just decide which wedding venue you want by walking you through 6 things that you can do. And it's effectively 6 steps to choosing your wedding venue. And I'm getting some expert advice from Caroline, who is part of the Hardiman Hotel in Galway. She's going to pop in at different points in this episode and give some expert advice. She's going to tell us a little bit more about the Hardiman so you can understand how their venue approaches certain things. And that will help you to understand some of the options, but let's get started with item number 1. Before you pick your wedding venue, you need to have your guest list. Now, you don't need to have your detailed guest list, but you do need to have a rough idea of how many people you're going to have at your wedding. You can't choose a wedding venue without knowing this piece of information, because the last thing you want to do is book a wedding venue that has, for example, capacity for 100 guests, and then you write out your guest list and you realize that you actually have about 200 people that you really want to have at your wedding, and suddenly you have to cut your guest list in half. So knowing this piece of information before looking for wedding venues is really helpful, because then you can search for venues that have the capacity to host the amount of people that you want to invite to your wedding. When you get to your venue, or when you're having conversations with your venue over email or phone call, here are a couple of questions that you can ask them. First thing, simple question, very obvious: what is your venue's capacity? But what you really want to know is how many guests can they fit in different areas of their wedding that are set up in different ways. So many venues will have different iterations of how a ceremony space or reception hall could be set up. It's whether or not there's a big dance floor or a small dance floor, if there's a buffet, if it's plated meals, that obviously impacts the space. If you've got round tables or banquet style tables, all those different things will have an impact on how many people the venue can fit in the space. So you want to find out the different options so that you know what works best for you. You also want to ask if you can see different seating plans that they have for the reception venue, because again, like I mentioned, table shapes and layout, those have a very big impact on how many people you can fit in that space. So you want to see what your options are. And your final question is you want to know if you can see photos of the venue set up for a real wedding actually filled with guests. So it's one thing to see a venue with tables and chairs to get a bit of an idea of what the space looks like, but you want to see what the wedding venue looks like with people in it so you can start to picture your day with your loved ones in that space. Here's your second step. Choose your location. You want to consider where your guests are coming from. If everybody's local, you've got lots of options. But if people are coming from different locations, you want to make sure that they are comfortable navigating their way to your wedding venue. So it might mean choosing a venue that is easy to drive to from a local airport. It might mean picking a venue that has really good public transport links, or just a venue that's in a space that's easy to get a taxi to or from. Just consider where your guests are coming from, and that will help you to narrow down the county you want to get married in. And it just really helps to pick the part of the country that you're going to get married in if you know where people are coming from. Your third thing you want to do is you want to know your budget. So similar to what I was saying about the guest list, it's helpful to have your piece of information before looking for venues, because if you have a rough idea of how much money you have to spend on your whole wedding, and specifically how much money you have to spend on your wedding venue and your food and the things that your wedding venue will organize for you, it definitely helps you to look for venues that actually fit within your budget. Because what you don't want to do is find your dream wedding venue and realize that you can't afford it. So many Irish venues have different packages for different times of the year. So we've spoken about this before in previous episodes. Specifically, we were talking all about what to do if you can't afford the wedding you want. We were talking a little bit about off-peak wedding dates, and so those are things like midweek weddings or winter weddings. There are lots of wedding venues that have different package options, but not all of them do. So it's worth asking that question. But I asked Caroline from the Hardiman Hotel a little bit about their packages and how they approach that side of things with their wedding venue. So let's take a listen and see what she had to say.
Well, at the Hardiman, we have the same packages from January to December. The price of the package varies. We have packages that cater for smaller weddings and larger weddings. We can also do bespoke wedding packages depending on the couple's requirements, because every wedding is different and we cater to all.
Well, Caroline's right. Every wedding is different. And so it's definitely worth exploring the different options that your potential wedding venues have available. Based on your guest list size, the time of year you're getting married, it's always worth asking different questions because your wedding is unique. Item number 4 on our checklist is consider the theme. So we've mentioned in different episodes before that there's a bit of a chicken or egg situation with different wedding decisions. So when it comes to your wedding venue and your theme, this is your chicken or egg situation. Do you pick the venue and then base your theme on the venue, which many couples have done before? They've found a beautiful venue and gone, you know what? The look of this venue is exactly what we want. Let's base our wedding colors and our theme on the venue. Great option. Your other option with this chicken or egg scenario is, do you pick a theme and then you choose a wedding venue that matches the theme? Also, another great option. So again, I asked Caroline, what about the Hardiman Hotel? Like, how do they accommodate different themes? What are the options? Have they ever had any kind of extravagant themes that they've had to accommodate in their hotel? And she had a very interesting answer, and I think you're going to like it.
The Hardiman itself is a beautiful building inside and out. It's over 170 years old. So the iconic venue is nearly a theme in itself. It has a real old world feel to it, with a lot of different features that's really unique to the building, from the high ceilings, chandeliers in the parlour lounge, the beautiful black and white tiles as you walk into reception. And of course, the Connemara ballroom is just stunning. Couples, of course, they can add their own spin to our venue if they wish. We find something that doesn't happen a lot, as we believe the room speaks for itself. Only recently we had a black and white theme, which was really beautiful, especially over the winter months, over Christmas months. It's a really lovely theme to have. We've had everything in the hotel, from Alice in Wonderland style, you name it. We've had it. We don't really tend to say no. We really work with every couple if they have a vision in mind. But saying that, the city venue of the iconic Hardiman is nearly a theme in itself.
Well, that is a good point, that when you choose a venue that is iconic, it's got an amazing aspect of the venue that is really eye-catching, it's really helpful because you can base your theme around the venue, just like Caroline was saying. So it is something worth considering, that perhaps you don't really have a theme, you don't really have any particular colors that you want to go for, and you're just open to being inspired by your venue. Just do it. That's a great idea. But the other side is true. Like Caroline mentioned that they've had an Alice in Wonderland style theme, that kind of thing. If you've got a really outrageous theme, there are so many venues across the country, including the Hardiman, that will go out of their way to make sure that your theme is accommodated and that you can still let that shine throughout the venue. Item number 5. Discuss your food options. So the way to anyone's heart is through their stomach, and weddings are no different. So you want to make sure that you talk with your wedding venue about the food options. There are so many different options. There's a buffet, there's a plated meal, there's the kind of banquet style, family style food that's served to the table and you kind of share. There's so many different options, and I asked Caroline what they do at the Hardiman Hotel, just so you can get a little bit of an understanding about some of the options available to you.
The Hardiman offers a beautiful 5-course meal: starter, soup or sorbet, a choice of main course, dessert and tea and coffee. Of course, side dishes with the main course are served family style for everyone to enjoy. We use local suppliers, from our beef to our veg, to everything that we put out for a wedding, and our head chef works very closely with our wedding coordinator to ensure the food is really what the vision of the couple it has in mind, and guests are always blown away with the food and how we serve it and the service.
Doesn't that sound amazing? A 5-course wedding meal. My mouth is watering just thinking about it and listening to Caroline explain the different options and how they're served. So it's definitely a conversation that you want to have with your venue, because food is important. So you might have a preference. You may want a particular style of serving. I know a few weeks ago we did an episode where my husband joined me and we talked all about, some of the different deal breakers that we had. And for him, something he really wanted was he wanted the food to be served to all the guests. So that was his non-negotiable. So if you have any non-negotiables surrounding food, make sure that you communicate those with your potential venue to see what they are able to do for you. But our final option, when you're looking to choose your wedding venue, you want to use the Weddings Online Venue Finder. I might be biased, but I have to say it's so much more efficient than using Google. When I was looking for a wedding venue, I had to go to Google and type in wedding venues, and then I would look through the different venues, and I had to scour through each venue's website to see what the capacity was, what the prices were, when they were available. But actually, with the Weddings Online Venue Finder, you can put all your information into one space. So it could be things like the county you're getting married in, how many guests you're having, your venue type. And if you know it, you can put things like how much you're willing to spend. You can add in other details like the date. And then your query gets sent to a whole bunch of amazing wedding venues across Ireland that match your criteria. So instead of you doing all the Google searching, we've done all the work for you. So I'm going to drop a link to that in the notes to this episode. And you can also find it on weddingsonline.ie, because I promise you this will be a game changer for you. But to end this episode, I asked Caroline to tell us if there are any other factors that you should consider when choosing your wedding venue, and her answer was amazing. I'm going to give you a hint. If you are getting married around Christmas time, or if you're anything like me and you think Christmas is the most magical time of the year, I think you're going to really love her answer to this. So if you're thinking of other factors to consider when choosing your wedding venue, take a listen to this.
There's a lot of different factors in choosing the right wedding venue for a couple. It's a really big decision, and one that has to feel right. We feel when couples come in through our front door, they know straight away that it's the venue for them. But there is factors to consider, and we feel at the Hardiman, I suppose the top 3 would be, first of all, the time of year. So the Hardiman, being where it's located in Galway city centre, it overlooks Eyre Square, so there's always something happening, and it's an amazing backdrop. If it's the summer, it's just an incredible atmosphere around the city, from the Galway races to the festivals that happen during the summer. It's a really lovely, lively atmosphere. And of course, the photos down Quay Street and Shop Street are infamous, and definitely something that you should do. But of course, the most magical time of year at the Hardiman is Christmas. With the Christmas markets right on our doorstep on Eyre Square, it provides the best backdrop for the most magical Christmas wedding you could ask for. And we'd invite couples to look at our website and view some of the images that past couples have done. There's just a lovely Christmas atmosphere in the hotel. It's a peak time for us, so definitely one to consider. Another one would be family traditions. With the hotel being over 170 years old, we've had couples who their parents, their grandparents, and even their great-grandparents have been married and held their reception at the Hardiman, which leaves a lovely feeling on the day, knowing that it's a real legacy wedding that's taken place. And, it really is beautiful. And it's a piece of history for them and for us. And also, probably the most important at any wedding venue would be the food and the menus. It's something that we really pride ourselves on the day, and we work very carefully with the couple from their menu tasting to the day of to make sure that everything is perfect and the food is exactly what they want and what their guests would want. And their drinks reception, obviously, it's the first welcome their guests get to the hotel. So we've lots of ideas and we've lots of menus to offer to couples for this. We carefully plan out everything with the guests, and we always go above and beyond for everyone that comes through the front door.
Well, a huge thank you to Caroline from the Hardiman Hotel for joining us today. If you want to speak with her about hosting your wedding at their venue, you can visit weddingsonline.ie and search for the Hardiman, or you can follow the episode breakdown, which is on weddingsonline.ie. I'll share a direct link to where you can book with them. But thank you for listening today. The Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online podcast is produced by me, Kelly, and mixed, mastered, and edited by Glenn Hartman. For more wedding planning tips, advice, checklists, and more, visit weddingsonline.ie.